Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of Baseball FM. As always, I am Frank. That is Max. This is the third episode. We will be talking about the first week, give or take, of Major League action this season. Last couple episodes, we did the AL and NL previews, so now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of the matter, Max. How you feeling after 1 week of baseball?
I feel great. There's going to be some funny things we're going to talk about, some sad things we're going to talk about concerning your team and possibly concerning my team. So it's going to be a fun episode. I can't wait to rant about what I don't like, but I'm going to rant about what I love. So let's get into it.
Well, I can promise the people watching at home that they will get a rant from me at some point, and
I've been looking forward to this all week, by the way.
it
I've
is
been, I've been living for
it
this.
is going to be a doozy. Let me put it that way. I suppose we should start off where I think pretty much everybody in the baseball zeitgeist has been talking about the one thing on everybody's mind: the automatic balls or strikes system. Everybody's sort of getting their introduction to it early on in the season. Um, just as a little bit of a primer, we talked about it in episode one, what the rules are and all these kinds of things. But I was looking at Baseball Savant before we started recording. About a 54% overall overturn rate. I believe it slightly favors the fielders, meaning the catcher, mostly in this case. I mean, we've seen a couple of pitcher challenges, but overall, I think it does add some parity to it, and it is another interesting thing that's been introduced in recent years in baseball. Max, how are you feeling about it overall?
I'm loving it. I think it's great for the league. I think we're seeing some truly atrocious strike three calls. Be overturned as they should be, or some atrocious calls that are clearly strikes that were called balls. So I think that's fun. We've seen some funny ejections with it, but I think some of the things that's really interesting is just how close these calls can get. I can't think of the games off the top of my head, but there was like this one call where it was like a centimeter below
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't clip the zone, but it was just that close. It was so close. So sometimes, obviously the umps get it right. Sometimes they get it wrong. But I think in some cases, and with some umpires that we'll get into,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of exposes just kind of what some of the problem modern day officiating has been. But I think that, along with the replay system that was in effect some years ago, is now kind of making people more accountable and calling the right plays.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's a positive thing. I think the usage is probably going to get reined in a bit more as the season goes on, as everybody gets sort of used to it, figures out what's ball and what's a strike. I think we've seen a few um, big misses by the umps, but I also think we've seen a few big misses from players that are challenging the calls. I know watching the Red Sox for the last week, I've seen Cedon Rafaela challenge a pitch. I've seen Marcelo Meyer challenge a pitch. I've seen lots and lots of players that probably should not be challenge borderline calls that they end up getting wrong. Um, I suppose that's a good segue as any into the CB Buckner catastrophe, the disaster class, the Aster class, whatever you want to call it. That was the second game of the season. Or was it third game of the season? No, second game. Right? I can't.
It's a long season for you already. I know that.
Yeah, well, listen, I've had PTSD every single day for the last week, so please forgive me if I can't quite remember all the details. But, CB Buckner obviously missed 20 calls in the Red Sox Reds game where he was behind the plate, and many of those were not close. The Red Sox ended up blowing their two challenges in the early innings of the game in the Reds, maintained the advantage over the Red Sox for the rest of the game by, using them in better spots than the Red Sox, plainly to put it plainly. That was the difference in the game, really. And I foresee this happening a few times this year where the number of and or the placement of ABS challenges changes the tide of the game. We saw Roman Anthony challenge a call, turned into a 2-run inning for the Red Sox. That was a big moment in that game, the only one that they've won thus far. Um, but I think overall, what we're looking at here is it's another ripple effect. It exposes the worst of the worst. CB Buckner being probably named number one on that list now that Angel Hernandez is gone. So he's got nowhere left to hide. I mean, he's been screwing up all over the place, really. He had that phenomenal call um, on Jake Bowers yesterday. I'm sure you've seen the clip, and people watching maybe have seen the clip. But essentially, he calls Jake Bowers out because he did not touch the base, even though replays show that Buckner's not even looking remotely close to the play, and Bauer's foot is basically dead in the middle of first base when he's running through it. So yeah, I mean, plus he got a foul pitch right to the dome today, and he got taken out of the game in the second inning for the Rays Brewers game. So I don't think anybody's had as bad of a week as CB Buckner this week, except for yours truly. So yeah, I mean, I like it overall. I think it'll save a lot of teams from truly disastrous late inning calls that impact the results. So as long as we can get closer to the actual game being played being the deciding factor, I think that is a positive development overall. So we will move on from that.
I just want to mention though the CB
Yeah.
Buckner thing. What really got him was when Trevor Story clearly didn't swing.
Mm,
And CB's like, no, no, you swung, you swung. I thought Story was going to be thrown out of the game, and then of course it was Cora. So we kind of just seen some crazy officiating this week
yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
Um, Specifically, the game one of the Nats Phillies series in Philly last Monday. I'm sure you saw it, where the runner was called safe, even though at the time it was called out. And the third base runner clearly was out of the line. He clearly was walking away, and it was the third out, so it was kind of a double play. But then the ump's like, "No, he's safe at home," which is the right call. But then he goes, "But by the way, because the runner didn't know he's going to go back to third, it's like what?" And so I kind of get where Rob Thompson came from, where he got ejected. I think Rob Thompson didn't want to see Taiwan Walker pitch. We'll get to that later on in my
Yeah.
rant.
I
But yeah,
I I genuinely think that the head loss that's going to come from some of these umps because of ABS is going to be taken out in some other absolutely awful calls. And I think the fact that we're assuming that the umps won't have emotions involved is a silly thing. I think we saw with the check swing on Trevor Story, like that you were alluding to earlier, that is the poster child of CB Buckner absolutely losing his mind at how often he's getting challenged by the Reds and, you know, taking the easy way out and calling check swing himself instead of appealing to the first base ump. But anyway, let's go. Let's move on and let's talk about a pair of Samurai Japan teammates, Kazuma Akamoto and Munetaka Murakami, two of the hottest hitters in the league at this moment. There is a lot to say about them, Max. I don't think that there's a more impressive hitter in my mind for a team that is as bad as the White Sox have been than Munetaka Murakami. Now, there's a lot to say. There's a lot to say right now. He's hitting 278. He has 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, or 4 RBIs, sorry, 5 runs. He's also striking out at 31.8%, which, if he can keep it around that for the rest of the year, I think the White Sox will happily take that trade off. His on base percentage is 409. I think this is about as well as you could have hoped if you're a White Sox fan for how he started, Max. What do you think overall about Murakami so far?
just super fun. Opening day, hits a bomb. The next day, hits a bomb. He seemed really plays really well. I think he's playing some pretty solid defense there as well. He's overall a great player. Welcome addition to the White Sox. I think you and I were both surprised that he ended up going to the White Sox this offseason. The expectation was the Dodgers would get him somehow or some other big league team with a lot more money. But I know it's exciting, and I hope he keeps it up. It's really fun to watch. Obviously, one of the top, if not the top, international signing of this year. The fact that he's dealing with the White Sox right now, who are off to a really bad start. But I think the one bright spot is Murakami just doing what he's doing. It's exciting to watch.
I mean, I don't think the White Sox are all bad, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. But certainly has not been a good start other than Murakami, and I can't wait to see him hit a few more moon shots. But let's go to the elder statesman, if you will, of Japan in Kazuma Akamoto, who is hitting 300 at the moment, 391 on base percentage, two homers, three RBIs, four runs, striking out at a 40% clip, but also walking at a 13% clip. He he is a guy that I liked a lot coming over. I think he had a chance to be the rookie of the year in the American League. I didn't feel that way so much about Murakami, if I'm being honest. I thought he'd be better than people expected, but I was sitting more like 230 with 28 ish home runs and 90 something RBI for Murakami. That's sort of how I was feeling it. I thought Okamoto had a chance to finish, with a higher than 290 average. I think probably closer to 20 home runs in the year, but I think he'll definitely garner some Rookie of the Year votes because he's just the more polished hitter of the two. But I think if you're the Blue Jays, you have to say this is already a World Series caliber lineup, and we're adding this guy into the lineup. He's been hitting cleanup a couple times for them. Um, he sort of reminds me of like Vladdy Guerrero Jr.'s archetype in some ways, which is to say he's got hits the ball hard. It's not necessarily the ideal launch angle, but he's going to put the ball in play more often than not. He's not going to strike out a ton, and he has some power that he can get to. Now, I think Guerrero obviously has a higher upside than Okamoto, but I think they're both very, very good players to have in the lineup, and I think the Blue Jays' fortunes have been much more favorable than the White Sox. What would you say about Okamoto's journey into the MLB so far?
I don't think he's ever had a. I don't think we've seen a modern player right now such a welcoming introduction to the MLB than
Hmm.
what Okamoto's doing right now. I think the one game that really stood out to me um, was when the Rockies, beat the piss out of the Blue Jays, but Okamoto had like one or two home runs that game. He was really good, and his defense is really good. They needed a guy. I know Bichette's had some difficulties with injuries, but I mean, obviously having Bichette leave is a bit of a blow to the Blue Jays, but I think if Akamoto can fill the hole, and I think if he does it, and I think we're seeing it right now, and if he's able to do it all season, clearly they're going to, I mean, we knew from last week they're my division favorites. They're my pick to win the division. And I think one of the star players, one of the MVPs of the Blue Jays this year is going to be Akamoto because of what we're seeing right now. I think we're just scratching the surface with him. Definitely going to be a future All Star. He should be an All Star, quite frankly, if he continues it up this year. But it's just so fun to watch him play.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And he's, you're not too shabby with the glove either at the hot corner, which I know some people were worried about. But yeah, I mean, Blue Jays getting better. If I'm being honest, they're the team that I would prefer to win the AL East at the moment, knowing that my Red Sox have already been eliminated from playoff contention. So, um,
Put the fries in the bag.
the fries are well in the bag. McDonald's won't even give us a job application at this point. We are well and truly cooked. We won't get into that right now though. I'm keeping the pin just barely in that
I'm on my
review.
best behavior for that. I'm going to
I
wait.
I am keeping the pin in there because we are going to talk about, and this is the theme of the episode today. We're going to talk about the good teams first. These are the teams that have impressed in the first week. These are the teams that have really, pulled up some trees. They've really, just put their on the table, and they've said, we're here and we're to be feared. I think we should start out with the most surprising team so far, Max. Now, This is not a team that I am. They're not a team that I'm particularly surprised are good. I don't. I see a few streaks like this throughout the season. I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain it over the whole year, but we're talking about the Miami Marlins, the young fish, with a few exceptions like Sandy Alcantara, who threw a complete game shutout today, absolutely dominant against the White Sox. But they are 5-1, Max. They have sole possession of the top of the National League East. And I know as a Phillies fan, this is something that I think maybe you have some interest in. Do you have any early insights on the Marlins that might mean that they could possibly be a contender this year, if not for the playoffs, maybe for something something bigger, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we saw earlier today with Sandy Alcantara throwing that complete game shutout and only 93 pitches just shows us that Alcantara of old can be alive and well. That's
MVP.
really impressed me. And I think just the way this team has handled itself, kind of like essentially how they did last year, last September, when they were the hottest team to watch in all of baseball. Their second half standings or record from obviously the end of the All Star break to the end of the season was one of the best in baseball. And I think we're showing that hot streak. I think it clearly shows their manager, who was a former coach for the Dodgers, is really good at what he does. And I think everything is really clicking for the Marlins right now. Yes, they won against the White Sox, but um, you still have to win those games. And I think the fact that the Marlins are able to do it pretty convincingly is great. I think it's just unfortunate that there's not a lot of fans at the stadium. The Miami Marlins have had, unfortunately, low attendance for the past 10 years, pretty much ever since that new ballpark opened up. But I think what we're seeing from the Marlins is a really exciting team. Uh, they're my second favorite team in the division. Obviously, all due
Reds are
respect to the
first.
Braves. Not so due respect for the Mets, but that's just my Philly bias. But I think what the Marlins do right now is fun. I don't know how you can root against this team. It's just overall fun baseball.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that's being led by a young core, particularly with the bats. My favorite Maple Boy, as I referred to him this morning, O Canada, Owen Casey. Cubs giving him away for a song for some reason, even though he's been their top prospect for a couple of years now, showing why he had so much hype. I mean, he's walking at an 11% clip right now, striking at 22%. That's definitely not going to kill you. 455 batting average on balls in play. That's definitely not sustainable, but he's hitting 400 right now. He's hit two homers, I think now, possibly one homer, 6 RBIs is what Fangraphs is showing, but he's been impressive. Liam Hicks went on absolute tear today. That brings him up to 8 RBI on the season already. Only striking out 7% of the time, hitting 364. And Griffin Conine, Xavier Edwards, they've also been contributing. Both of their averages are 400 or better. But I think most people would look to the pitching when they talk about this team, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how you feel about it, Max, but you know, Sandy Alcantara, he has thrown plenty of pitches, still has yet to give up a run. And looking at his expected metrics, he's not likely to give up many runs for the foreseeable future. And wow, I mean, yeah, you have Yuri Perez. I mean, I know Max Meyer didn't look amazing in his first start, but you have to love what you're looking at with this pitching staff. And if they could crack 10,000 fans in the stadium sometime soon, I would be very pleasantly surprised. But Max, let's move on. I gotta eat my vegetables here. I gotta brush my teeth. I gotta go to the doctor. Gotta take my pills. The Yankees are another team that I know I need to talk about. They're 4-1, top of the AL East right now after sweeping the Giants. Um, do you want to take the lead on this one, Max? Pretty please. Do you want to? I'm just gonna sit back. Yeah,
No, I
Max.
can't do that to
Max,
myself. I can't do that
if
to
I
myself.
felt anything after this week, that would rile me up. But honestly, I'm pretty checked out already.
Well, rage bait unsuccessful, but we'll try again. Um, the Yankees are just dominant, straight up. They're 5-1. They're 5-1 right now. They're the best team in the league in baseball right now. Max Fried is looking dominant. Uh, pardon me. Wow. I'm sick of speaking of the Yankees so much. I hate the Yankees so much that it's making me cough and sick.
Yeah.
Fried extended his scoreless inning streak for two. 13 and a third with seven innings pitched last night. He struck out six, allowing only three hits and a walk. His second win in a 5-0 victory over the Marlins. Excuse, oh the God, the face of the Marlins later over the Mariners last night. Um, Now, this is a crazy stat. Prior to today's game, the Yankees have permitted just 3 runs this season. That is tied with the 1943 St. Louis Cardinals for the fewest by a team through its first 5 games. They're clearly off to a hot start. Everything's cooking besides Aaron Judge. We'll get to that. But who also has pitched very well is, I'm sure, a name that brings you no joy, but Cam Schlittler just threw a shutout against the at least when he was pitching, the bullpen gave up a few runs. But Cam Schlittler has looked pretty impressive since that a wild card game against Boston last October. He's looking dominant. The bullpen's looking great. David Bednar is actually looking pretty decent to start off the year. We kind of when we spoke about the division predictions, we were speaking about how David Bednar was a guy that was cut by the Pirates. But right now, I think David Bednar seems much more comfortable in that position. I think overall, the Yankees have had a historic start to the season. You got to give credit to where it's due. They swept the Giants. They won the series against the Mariners. They're just looking dominant. The baby boomers are booming, I guess, is a term that people are using. But yeah, they just look dominant. They're just incredibly. Almost everything about that team is perfect right now.
Yeah, I mean, Giancarlo Stanton batting a cool 500 in 20 plate appearances right now. Ben Rice, he's been looking great. Cody Bellinger's been looking great. Um, Aaron Judge, much to my pleasure, is looking absolutely lost up at the plate. But you know, I mean, what else do I have to live for at this point with this whole baseball thing?
And
Hmm.
I got another team that's on my track right now. It is one of my division rivals, the Atlanta Braves. The Braves are looking quite good. They won the series pretty convincingly against the Royals. They won the series against the A's. There was only one game this year, so actually 2 games this year where they scored less than 2 runs. The other games that they had was pretty much all 4 or 5 runs. So they're looking pretty dominant right now. Kind of nervous, but the Braves are looking great despite all the injury setbacks. They seem to have something cooking there. I thought that Drake Baldwin home run, leadoff home run, was great. And I think your boy Dominic Smith hit a walk-off grand slam
The
the other
Dominator.
a couple days ago. The Dominator, yeah. I mean, he was. The Braves look like a fun team. They're a fun, nifty team. I don't like it, but good for them.
Yeah, I mean Austin Riley, he's looking like he's starting to round back in form. Their pitching hasn't completely sucked, which is a surprise to me. Outside of Chris Sale, I should specify. Bryce Elder through his first quality start since about 2021. Um, yeah, I mean, shout out to the Braves. I think there's a lot of things to like about them if they can stay healthy, but that seems an unlikely proposition at this point. But crazier things have happened, and you know, there's not much else to really say about the NL East besides it's looking like the AL East right now. And certain members of the AL East are probably not pulling their weight as much as they should. But
Wink,
speak
wink.
yeah, speaking of beasts though, let's talk about the Milwaukee Brewers. 5-1 so far. Mizorowski, another dazzling start. Their lineup seems to be picking up right where they left off in the regular season last year. Not so much in the playoffs, of course. We don't need to get into that. Terang, Yelich, Joey Ortiz is even looking good. I I just think that they're going to be it's going to be another season where they are likely going to be in contention for the best record in the National League. Another season where Pat Murphy is in contention for Manager of the Year. Brandon Woodruff, he picked up his first win of the season as well. I'm happy to see him healthy and pitching. And that's not even including the Rafael Devers counterweight, the major return that the Red Sox got back for him. Kyle Harrison throwing a pretty convincing 6 innings, 1 run, 8 Ks in his Brewers debut, which basically just leaves me face down in a ditch emotionally, if I'm being quite honest with you. So, yeah, I mean, Brewers picking up where they left off, Max. What do you got to say about them?
Yeah, I mean, when they, especially a few days ago, like over the weekend on the 28th against the White Sox, they took extra bases, went 7 for 7 on steals. Everything's working. Everything's really working right now. It's looking a lot like the 2025 Brewers. I think that's a great thing. I think when the Brewers win, I think everybody wins because the Miz is working off right where he did last year. Everyone knows how great Mizorowski is. Great to see Brandon Woodruff um, start as well as he did. I was watching MLB tonight, a little before Brandon Woodruff start, and Dan Plesac and Harold Reynolds were talking about how he can't be too anxious. He's just got to take his time. And I think what we saw was just a masterclass in
Mm.
pure veteran pitching from him.
Yeah, I mean,
Yelich is really fun to watch. I don't know if he's at his 2019 self, but whenever Christian Yelich is able to be a
yeah,
dog like he was all those years ago. It's just incredible to watch.
Mizorowski's been to the Garrett Crochet school of throwing hard, which is to say, take a couple of ticks off your fastball. Stop throwing it at full effort every single pitch. You're not going to be a starter that way, at least not for very long. He's sitting about 96, 97 right now with his fastball combined with all his other pitches, looking so much more polished as a starter already. Brewers, they got themselves an ace on their hands, and I think the league's all the
How
better
about that
for it.
bullpen? How about that bullpen the Brewers got too? It's looking pretty
I mean, they got
decent.
about 6 closers right now in that bullpen, probably. Abner Uribe, Trevor McGill, to name a couple. I mean, I don't really know what else you want to see from them at this point to say that they're a well rounded club. I think they just got to put it together in the playoffs and then we'll see what happens.
Sure, exactly, man, for
Um,
sure.
we could mention the Dodgers, but who really wants to listen to that? Shohei Otani, he got a hit, pitched 6 scoreless with 1 hit. Uh,
Roki pitched decent.
Yesterday. Roki also pitched decent. That's all we're gonna say about the Dodgers, though, because I don't really. We've already talked enough about the Yankees. I don't need to talk a lot about the Dodgers, especially where my Boston Red Sox find themselves right now. But we're gonna move on to the bad teams. We're busy being positive and all these things. We got to really lean into the negativity here, Max. We got to really dive deep into our own psyches and access the darkest recesses of our minds. And Max, do you know what I found in that dark recess of my mind? Do you
I'm scared to ask.
do
I'm
you
scared
do
to
you
ask.
know do you know what was there?
Nothing.
It was a single poster with nothing holding it up other than the sheer force of the hatred I have for the man known as John Henry. It's a poster of Craig Breslow and John Henry standing next to each other on opening day in one of those luxury suites in Cincinnati, laughing with each other, talking with each other, shaking each other's hands after they win on opening day, Max. They're saying to themselves, what a terrific team we've built here. One that really has no flaws whatsoever, Max. Do you know what events happened in the subsequent 5 games after this event, Max?
The Hindenburg disaster.
Oh, close. You're close. I would say it's more akin to hitting yourself on the balls on purpose 875 times just so you can be closer to God in some way. Max, I'm not joking when I said I'm a cricket fan now, because this shit has turned me into the goddamn Joker. This we have traded down from a winning hand every single year since 2018, and now is when the chickens come home to roost. This is the year where I go full Joker. This is the year where I turn into something else. I transcend in my anger. This is a lineup. This is a rotation. This is a bullpen that I wouldn't even put up against an AAU team right now, Max. I wouldn't even put them up against. I wouldn't even put them out on the field if the coach was pitching to them. God damn it! All right. Th- I said to my father today. I said I have never felt less connected with a Red Sox team in my entire life. This includes the 2012 team. This includes the 2014 team. This includes the Carl Crawfords and the Pablo Sandovals and the Hanley Ramirez, and this includes the Nick Puntos of the world. This is a team that I genuinely feel nothing for. I genuinely feel nothing for. If they finished the season with 65 wins, I would say, yeah, that tracks. If they're next to the Rockies and the White Sox and the Twins and the Nationals by the end of this season, I say, yeah, that feels about right. This is after 1 week of baseball, Max. Two series worth of baseball, right? Losing 2 out of 3 to the Reds. This is for the Red Sox, Max, not for you. And getting swept for the Astros. Yordan Alvarez could genuinely kill a man right in front of me and I would not report him to the police. This is how much I fear him. Okay? I don't know what we did to him. I don't know if he's clearly the bastard son of David Ortiz. I don't think anybody's disputing this, despite the fact that he's from Cuba. I don't know if David Ortiz. He has like a poster of David Ortiz with a big red X through it in his childhood home or something. But he is taking everything out on us, right? This he's bottled all the energy of the 2013, the 2004, and the 2016 seasons for David Ortiz, and he's put it all into staying healthy just to play the Red Sox so he can lob 13 live grenades into our dugout every single inning. The Astros are a decent team. So are the Reds. But what I'm seeing from a team going into this game today, mind you, I haven't crunched the numbers, but they struck out 25 times in 2 games. 25 times, Max. That's a lot of striking out. That's like Nolan Ryan, prime Nolan Ryan, throwing against this lineup twice. I watched our supposed savior Roman Anthony strike out 3 times against Hunter Brown on 9 pitches, Max. He probably swung at about 2 of them. I've never seen a player get immaculate inninged by himself in a single game. Have you, Max? Have you seen this? You've watched Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper and Alec Boehm play for an entire season, and you've never even seen this. Okay?
You're
And
hitting too close to home now. Hey now.
this is supposed to be our savior, Max. I saw Ranger Suarez, your boy, a guy that I like quite a lot. And I actually like and I remember messaging you after the second inning and saying I quite enjoy watching Ranger Suarez pitch. Do you know what happened right after that, Max? He got bent over the table and absolutely spanked by this Astros lineup. Greg Weissert is going to face. He's going to be facing a criminal trial before anybody in the White House does. I'm going to be judge, jury, and executioner on this one. This man, we could have swept the Reds if it wasn't for Greg goddamn Weissert. Okay, and maybe just maybe I would feel a bit better about this team if we were 3-3 instead of 1-5. I'd still have some problems, don't get me wrong, but we are 1-5 regardless. Max, I genuinely don't know if I can make it through the month of April, let alone the entire season with this goddamn club. We have 2 guys, exactly 2 guys that are trying. Willie Abreu, salute to him, one of my favorite players on the team, if I could even say one of, probably the only one at this point, after Crochet got dicked down again by the Astros, just like last year. Connor Wong is the only other ray of hope I have. This is a man who didn't get a fucking hit until June, probably. Didn't get an RBI until July. Didn't have an extra base hit until fucking July, Max. And he's our second best hitter by every fucking conceivable metric. I don't know why John Henry is doing this. I don't know for what ends he's putting me through a personal hell like this. But quite frankly, Max, I could give a damn because I'm about ready to root for another team for this whole year. I'll watch some Red Sox games. Don't get it twisted because I'm a sucker. All right, I'm gonna
And we'll be
fall.
at Fenway and we'll see this rant in person, and everyone will
I'm gonna
love it.
walk face first into a brick wall voluntarily. But in order for me to cope with baseball as a sport, I need to find some other place of enjoyment. Because it certainly will not be at Fenway Park. Max, take the mic. I'm done here.
I don't know. I'm not going to beat a dog when it's down, but you already talked about the Phillies. I will not tolerate the disrespect you have shown Ranger Suarez because we never treated him like this. Philly never treated him like this. You did something in Boston that made him so upset. I don't know what it is. This never happened in Philly for Ranger. I will say this though. Good for Connor Wong on improving his game. I mean, you need a solid backup catcher. What's this business with Carlos Narvaez? We don't know. We'll find out soon. Unfortunate news, obviously, with Cristian Casas facing another setback. We hope that he heals soon. He's always fun to watch. Um, I do like what Connor Early did. His first start of the year, he looked great. The Red Sox clearly have some bullpen issues. Uh, I think Cora has made some questionable decisions. I mean, Anthony did hit a home run earlier today, um, but he was benched, and Marcelo Meyer was
Chris
benched.
Paul hits a
Trevor's
massive three pointer to cut the lead to 41.
exactly, and I thought that some of the Sonny Gray did not have an ideal start uh, to his first game as a Red Sox. I will say this: it is only April. Who am I to say my team is perfectly 500 right now? Where you guys always were a few years ago.
Max, I would bite your hand off for 500 right now.
All right, Alex Trebek, you son of a bitch. The you know, I don't think I've ever seen somebody so emotional about 1 week of baseball than you. And in some cases, my moments with the Phillies. And if you'd like, we could get to some of what I like, some of what I don't like on my team. But I think some of the. It is only April, and it's only 1 week. Last year, the Red Sox had a similar slow start to the year. And look what happened. They won 89 games. They don't hit that walk-off triple. You guys went to the playoffs. So I think there's still hope there. Um, But yeah, no, that Astros series was tough. And you're talking about Jordan Alvarez. Now you know how it feels. Now you know how I feel about him from the 22 World Series. Unfortunately, he's the proud owner of your Ranger Suarez because he's not mine anymore. You stole him from us. And he is a proud owner of a loved steroid user in Jose Alvarado. Um, it just proves that the Astros are still kicking. But I was listening to Baseball is Dead this morning with Carabas and Dallas Braden and Jay Hay. Jared, I think in a moment of possible cope, I don't want to disrespect him too much, said that the real season begins at home. So you have tomorrow off. You don't have to watch the Red Sox hurt you anymore for a day for 24 hours. You're safe. But then they got the then they got that home series. Who are they facing? Is it the Padres?
Padres is the first home series, yeah.
Okay, good. That reminds me. I should try and go just so I can boo Nick Castellanos. But that's a separate point. Um, yeah, I'm sorry, but it's only 5 games. We have 157 of these left, so enjoy it. But also, let me know how cricket is. Maybe I'll watch it.
Let's talk about a different team, Max. Let's talk about the Athletics. The Athletics of zip code not found. Um, I think we
I
can
think
get,
you're still recovering from what you see from the Red
and I'm
Sox.
exercising some demons. I just need to talk some ball about someone else right about now. Um, I think what's strange to me about the Athletics at the moment is it's not necessarily the pitching that's the problem. Their offense, bar Shea Langoliers, has been ice cold so far. Nick Kurtz is, sorry, Nick Kurtz has batted a beautiful 0.59. Jacob Wilson has a 29 WRC plus, and you know, it's it really is baffling to me how poorly it is going for them offensively. Brent Rooker has a 1.90 batting average. Lawrence Butler has an 0.91. Soderstrom is hitting 200. Denzel Clark, he's hitting 167 and he's striking out at a 53% clip right now. Their bats, this is a lineup that I had a lot of hope in. This is a lineup that I thought was going to carry this team to victory. To see them start off like this, I don't necessarily believe it. Um, I think they're going to hit a few homers at home, and all will be right in the world again. But it certainly is an interesting development here, Max. How are you feeling about the A's so far?
Not great. Shockingly, their pitching hasn't been too bad. Um, I thought Sabrina was okay, for example. Jeffrey Springs is okay, for example. I'm not too shocked about Denzel Clark's offensive stats. He's the number 9 hitter after all. He did make a phenomenal play earlier today. He's still a defensive highlight reel. Um, Shane Langoliers is making an early dark horse race for the MVP right now. He really is looking great. He's a great defender. He's a great offensive hitter. He has 5 home runs to start off the year already. So he's already off to a hot start. Kurtz is struggling a bit, along with Jacob Wilson, which is kind of sad to see because Jacob Wilson has such a great approach to the plate. The fact that he's struggling is not great. The fact that Kurtz, who won Rookie of the Year last year. I still think is projected to do incredibly well. Just off to a slow start, unfortunately. The A's have not played in Sacramento yet. Obviously, their offense could get it cooking on them at home. So I think it's just unfortunate, really. It's just a bad way to start off the year. Obviously, you don't want to start off like that. But as I said, it is early April. I'm not going to try to be too overly critical of some of the things we've seen. Sometimes I can't help myself, but other times I think it really does warrant some deeper dives into statistics, into the sabermetrics in terms of what's their approach at the plate and what's not been great. Maybe they've been just getting bad hitting advice to start off, kind of like your team, unfortunately. But no, it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate they're 1-5. They didn't win against the Braves, which was good. They had a pretty good win against them, but just the other series, yeah, just every starting pitcher or every pitching staff has just had their number. I think even the Rockies, if they face them this year, I think if they face them to start off the year in Colorado, I don't know if they'd hit those home runs, and I don't think they'd. I think the Rockies would look like the 2011 Phillies against the A's. But that's how it goes. It's unfortunate, but it'll be fun to see once they go home if they're able to get their swings cooking.
Yeah, I think of the four that we're going to talk about in the bad column, the A's are probably the team that I have the most faith in getting back to where I sort of thought they would be. But let's move on to the next team, the White Sox. We sort of briefly talked about them when we were talking about Murakami, but I'd like to sort of highlight the pitching here. I don't think this is a shock to anybody really with how bad that their pitching has been, but let's just put it this way. There's there's meeting expectations, and then there's having modest expectations and still falling below those. And I think that's what the White Sox pitching staff is doing at the moment. Now, there's a couple of guys that I think you could maybe look at. Anthony Kay, Jordan Leisure, both aren't doing too poorly, but Shane Smith, a All-Star last year and a Rookie of the Year vote recipient, has a whopping 16.2 ERA so far this season. That's not ideal, dare I say.
Just got up to
Uh,
1929 this year.
Somehow Jordan Hicks is still in this league. He's got an 11.5 ERA right now. Sir Anthony Dominguez, their marquee pitching acquisition, got an ERA over 13. And I think all but one of their starters has an ERA over 5 at the moment. So, I mean, if we're talking about just purely talking about a team that really shouldn't have this many issues with pitching, just from a purely environmental standpoint, by which I mean the stadiums that they've played in, they've underperformed even that. They look like they need to score 15 runs a game to even have a chance of winning. Now Miguel Vargas, Chase Mydroth, Murakami, who we talked about earlier, even Colson Montgomery, to a smaller degree, they've they've been willing to put the bats on the ball, but nobody else on this team has. And I like the White Sox. I think they're trending in the right direction, but it's clear that there's still a very, very long way to go for them. Max, what are your thoughts?
Definitely a long way to go. As we've seen so far, they played against some very good teams. I mean, Milwaukee's great. We talked about them. Miami's great. We talked about them. But their losses this year have been nothing short of brutal and catastrophic. Unfortunate to see that Sam Smith, he's got a 1929 ERA right now. That's not a great year number to be associated with, but unfortunately it has that association. Nothing's clicking right for Sam Smith. I don't know what it is. Um, their losses this year have not been like close, like oh, it's like a 3-2 or 1-0 where it's a pitcher's goal. And, no, like they lost their first loss of the year was got their first game of the year in Milwaukee. Lost 14-2. They lost 6-1. While the offense did put up some good numbers, they lost 9-7. They did win against Miami 9-4, but again, a 9-2, and they just got smoked by Sandy Alcantara earlier today, 10-0 in a 93 game shutout. Very impressive from Sandy, but not so impressive from the White Sox. We'll see if they kick it up. I mean, it's I'm not gonna lie, it's not looking great for their for what they're who they're facing this weekend and the Blue Jays. I mean, that's not gonna be ideal. We might be in the same situation next week. But it really nothing seems to be besides Murakami. There's really nothing that seems to be clicking for the White Sox this year. It's early, but 1 week it's
Yeah,
like, oh
that's
boy,
what they call a trial by fire.
exactly.
Last team that I want to talk about for the bad side of baseball, San Diego Padres. They'll be traveling to Fenway next to take on the equally sucky Red Sox. So we'll see who comes out alive there. This is a team that had a very solid floor hit last year, I would say. They had a pretty good contact oriented lineup. They had a pretty solid foundation, especially in the bullpen on the pitching front. But man, oh man, have their bats been quiet. Excluding Ramon Laureano, whom has a little bit less than a full time, bless you, a little bit less than
Thank
a
you.
full time role at the moment. All other hitters in the Padres lineup are hitting under 235. Man at 235 is Fernando Tatis Jr. Machado's hitting 200. Jackson Merrill's hitting 222. Your beloved Nick Castellanos is hitting 167. Andahart 167. Bogarts 200. Cronenworth 167. Their bats have just been abysmal, abysmal. Like they've gotten some pretty shocking pitching performances for some of their guys, but what is going on with this Padres lineup, Max?
Uh, People wrote them off and they didn't write back, or they did write back, I guess. Whatever Gino said a few years ago. Um, yeah, brutal series against the Tigers. Um, Making San Francisco. I was going to talk about San Francisco, but I think the way that they played this year, this week against the Giants, has kind of redeemed themselves a bit. But I think when your pitching is going off against a really slow start of a team in the Giants, where they went like 14 or 15 innings without scoring a run to start off the year. Granted, it was Max Fried. Granted, it was the Yankees pitching. Um, Not a great start to Tony Vitale, who came from college and straight to the majors. Great for him, but not a great start for the team. But speaking of the Padres, I mean, yeah, it's just not looking too great. Pivetta did pitch earlier today. He looked pretty good. But the whole Padres team is just not clicking as a whole. You said it right there. In Castellanos and just the hitting in general. Yesterday, Hermé Marquez, correct me if I'm wrong, the former Rocky, he uh, he uh, he did not have a good game. They lost 9-3 yesterday. Um, they had this is their worst start to the season since 2018. This is a brutal way to start the year for the Padres. Before yesterday, or before today rather, they are now 1-4. They're 2-5 now, but they started off 1-4. Just not a great start. I kind of forgot that Walker Bueller was on the Padres. I think we all did, but he's not looking great. He's looking like Red Sox version of Walker Bueller. No offense, but he is. Um, and
I'm
yeah,
gonna
the
take no offense.
offense.
He sucked for us.
Well, yeah. Sorry, I can't help myself. Um, yeah, but I'm not shocked by the performance that Castellanos put up or the Orlando Harris put up. Um, I'm disappointed a bit to see Jackson Merrill. He's someone who I've had high hopes on the year so far. Um, the fact that they gave up the Giants' first home run was to Harrison Bader. No disrespect, but he's their ninth hole hitter. Is not something you want to see. So again, I probably should stop saying this. We'll see what happens. It's early. Have a drink every time I say that, but it's just not a great start. It's not a great start to this new manager, and I feel bad for that Don Orsello has to call these games. But I think on the flip side, though, I'm kind of think that Don Orsello is thinking, oh, I'm calling the Padres. At least I don't have to go back to, well, he is. At least I don't have to call the Red Sox. They started off. I can't help myself, but yeah.
No, I mean you're not wrong though. I think that's probably the only team that's hitting worse than the Padres right now. So that about wraps up the teams that we're going to talk about, Max. Let's do some players of the week. Let's do a hitter or two and a pitcher or two. Do you have a hitter that you would like to highlight this week?
We just talked about him. Shane Langoliers is incredible. This is an
Bangaliers.
interesting stat right here from Rick Farlow, the A's beat writer on MLB.com. Langoliers is the first catcher to do this so far since Hall of Famer Arnett 101 years ago. This is truly historic. His 5 home runs ties a man you may have heard of before. I may have heard of him before. Mark McGuire in 1992 for the most of an ace player in the team's first 6 games of the season. As I mentioned, that he ties the Hall of Famer Gabby Harnett from 1925. Um, he yeah, last year he had a career year of 31 home runs. He had 133 hits. His OPS was 861. Slugging percentage of 536 on base percentage of 325, and this is really good for a catcher, 277. 277. Right now, he is hitting 325, 400, and 1,000 for slugging percentage. Overall, looks incredibly good. He's looking really nasty behind the plate. He's a great catcher. He knows what he's doing, and he's incredible behind the on the bat too. So he really stands out. He's really been the true offensive player of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have a couple of names. One of them is a statistical pick. The other is more of an emotional pick, I'll admit, but he's no less deserving. My statistical pick, Joey Weimer of the Washington Nationals. Uh, he was hitting 1,000 after 10 at bats. And after 17 at bats, he's hitting 588 with 2 homers, 4 RBIs, over 1,700 OPS. He has been absolutely dynamite for the Nationals. I would say they're coming back to earth a little bit. They looked pretty good against the Cubs the first series of the season, but I don't think anybody was really buying it, to be honest. But uh, oh, captain, my captain, Mike Trout is my other hitter that I like to highlight. He's down to 261, but he's hit 2 homers, got 3 RBIs, stolen 2 bases, over 1,000 OPS. This is the Mike Trout I know and love. He is the Mike Trout that we know and love, Max. And he, even if he doesn't sustain this, he's given us a tiny glimpse into days past. You know, when the economy wasn't fried and we were still in high school. Better times indeed. Better times indeed. But
He's Captain America to me.
he will always be Captain America to me too, Max. Not this washed Aaron Judge. All right, a pitcher of the week, Max. Who you got?
This is biased,
Yep.
incredibly biased.
Mm-hmm.
What a debut for my man, the artist, Andrew Painter. What an incredible start he had. He pitched 5 1/3 innings in about 80 pitches against the Nationals. He struck out 8. He was in these high leverage positions. He looked dominant out there. His mechanics are sound. He's got a great 98-mile-per-hour average fastball. He has a great curveball. The way that he handled himself was fantastic. I love to see all the guys behind him stand for him. A little shaky at the end with the Phillies bullpen, but that's a true Phillies bullpen masterclass. If I've ever seen one, I've seen worse. Um, but just the way that he has handled himself is really is incredible. Um, just pure dominance. Nothing phased him. The Nationals were confused
His
behind the plate
stuff
all game.
looked unbelievable in that game. His changeup was just diving down to the arm side. His curveball was just looping right in there. Fastball was he was like throwing a pea up there. I was really impressed with what I saw. If he can keep repeating this is a man we're going to be talking about in the Cy Young conversation very, very soon. And more power to you, Max. I mean, I know you've been waiting a while for Painter to debut after his couple of injuries in 23 and 24. So, you know, this is the man who was promised to you all those years ago, and I just think that I just think that him and Sanchez could be a dynamic duo for many years to come. Um,
I will say this: what the Phillies have been doing. I was watching the game. He's already embraced by the hometown crowd. I saw like 20 or 30 people in the stands, even in the upper deck of Citizens Bank. Kind of had like the artist thing going on. They had paint. They had paint on their jerseys.
oh,
They were using the
if he
paint. They
if
had
he
the
can be
K meter.
consistently good, that's gonna be so fun.
Yeah.
It really is.
I will say this though. Can I put in my least favorite player of the week?
Sure.
You had your rant, now it's mine. Taiwan Walker, get the hell off my team. What are you still doing in the big leagues, little bro? Get the hell out of here. He's doing what he did to me in 24 and 25. You had your rant, now I have mine. My zip's falling out. That means it's not good. But anyways, I I'm sure he's a nice man. I would like to get a beer with him. If I do have a beer with him, I will say, Taiwan Walker, what the hell are you still doing in the big leagues and not joining Bobby Dahlbeck on the Giants in Tokyo? What the hell is he doing on my team? There, nothing confuses him. The batters never confuse him. He has a horrible start to the season, as he always does. This man, quite frankly, should not be a starting pitcher. I have sent you so many Taiwan Walker memes. I'm sure you're sick of them. But I've heard the Red Sox thing, and I ain't sick of that yet. But the just with the way that he throws 89 miles per hour right down the middle, but he's Greg Weisser as a starting pitcher. What the hell is this? That's a short rant, but I'm shocked. Like I'm not surprised. I'm still shocked that he's still in the rotation. He gave up 7 earned runs. I can't think of a start where he doesn't give up 5 earned runs every time. What the hell is Steve just still doing on my team?
Where he should be playing is literally in his name.
That's a good one.
Yeah, send that man to Taiwan, damn it. My pitcher of the week, I have two. I got Max Fried, 2-0, 0 ERA, 13 and a third, 10 strikeouts, .53 WHIP. Nothing short of dominant. We saw that on full display on opening day, and his subsequent start was even better. A lot of people would argue. The next pitcher that I want to highlight, though, if my phone will load here, a guy that I've been high on for a couple of years now. I liked him a lot last year. I still very much like him this year. That's Jose Soriano. Not many people may know him. 27 years old. He's in the Angels rotation, which I know usually means it's a death sentence, but 2 0, 0 ERA, 12 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts, .83 whip. This guy's got a power sinker like you wouldn't believe, pumping that thing in there 97, 98, getting all of the ground balls, getting all of the whiffs, got a great curveball. Just needs to work on that location a little bit, but I believe in Jose Soriano. Ax, who you got as a team of the week this week?
I got a team.
Okay. Yeah, I knew that was going.
I'm sorry. I usually know where the Yankees at, but to troll people, I like to. Usually it involves me being abused, but fuck it, who cares? Anyways, no, the Yankees have just been dominant. I agree with you. Max Fried is looking like his 2025 self. Um, that curveball is kind of like what Kershaw had 10 years ago. He's looking so good. He's seeing, like I said, his scoreless inning streak is really off the charts. Giancarlo Stanton looking a little bit like Giancarlo Stanton of old when he was Mike Stanton in the Florida Marlins before they moved to that new stadium when they shared a stadium with the Dolphins. But I know you despise the name, but I think he's fun to watch. Cam Schlittler, he resides with me in Southie in the winters. He's looking really good. Everything with this Yankees team is looking pretty decent so far. That's my team of the week. My mid team of the week is the Phillies, if we want to do that, but I can't help myself.
Yeah, my team of the week, Miami Marlins, 5-1. Talked about them before. Excellent pitching, another dominant win today, and I wish them all the luck. My mid team of the week is going to be the Cleveland Guardians because they're always mid, and they somehow end up being in the playoffs. So who knows how, why, or when, but there you go. Uh, I just want to end this off highlighting a couple of minor league performers. I kind of want to turn this into a weekly bit. So um, I'm just going to twist the knife into myself a little bit by mentioning James Tibbs, a guy we got back from the Giants in the Rafael Devers trade. And immediately dealt to the Dodgers for Dustin May. A lovely half season of Dustin Corey Kluber in disguise when he was playing for the Red Sox. May. He's hitting over 500. He's got a couple of homers. He looked fucking amazing in spring training. And he'll probably be a future All Star. And he was a
And
guy
we
that
saw him in Portland when
we
we were in
saw.
that
We
game one
saw him
time.
in
We saw him in
Portland.
Portland. He couldn't have been a nicer guy.
He was really talkative with the fans. He seemed like an awesome dude. And now I got to watch him become a future All Star, knowing that we had him for all of a month and a half, and we traded him under zero duress for an absolutely abominable pitcher.
You know what we
Another one,
call that? You know what we call that? A Craig Breslow master class. Class is in session, boys.
I would say that's a master's degree Craig Breslow move right there. Trade your best player for a prospect to trade for a terrible big leaguer sounds about right to me. Reese Hines, another guy, Cincinnati's AAA. He's been hitting the cover off the ball. Again, did so in spring training, so look out for him in the future. But outside of that, I got nothing else, Max. Or anything you would like to contribute before we end?
I still believe in Bryce Harper. This is not the Bryce Harper I know. I love you, Bryce. I will always love you, Bryce. Please come back. We need you, Superman. Thank you, Kyle Schwarber, for what you're doing. Taiwan, get the hell out of here. Aaron Nola, please don't give up a home run challenge. Impossible. I love you, Shea Langoliers. Let's go Phillies. Let's go Sox. Let's go both Red Sox and White Sox. Let's have some fun. The Red Sox play at home this weekend, so it's going to be fun to watch. Um, and we'll see how it goes. It's a fun start to the season. Some surprises, some misses that we've talked about. I will say this: when going back to the ABS thing, I thought the Shelton ejection, that Twins manager, was funny as hell. The Orioles broadcaster, I'm sure you heard this, and I'm sure our listeners have heard this as well. He's arguing with an ump. He's arguing with a robot. You can't win against the robots. That was a clip of the week for me. I loved it,
Oh, baseball's such a fun game when you're not a Red Sox fan.
buddy. Okay, I'm sorry. I have to say this. You have seen 4 World Series
I
rings,
don't
and I have
care. I
only
don't
had
care.
one.
What
You
have
are
they done for me
struggling from
lately? Okay,
success. IQ. This is
I
typical Boston behavior.
okay. Let's. We're done here. No, cut the mic.
Okay.
We're this is over. But anyway, this was a lot of fun, Max. Our listeners slash viewers can look forward to another phenomenal week of baseball talk next week. Hopefully, the Red Sox are have more than 3 wins by then. Let's put a modest target on it and say more than 3 wins. And
I'll say they get 5.
let's hope Taiwan Walker continues to pitch in the big leagues until Max gets old and gray and the sun explodes. So, yeah. I don't want to put that out there for you, Max, but someone's got to suffer with me here, and
That's what I get for wearing the Yankees hat for 5 seconds.
that is absolutely what you get. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, listening. This has been another episode of Baseball FM. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your week and happy baseballing.